Well, there's just a small group of us, but for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and get started. I had a feeling maybe we'd have a little bit of a smaller group. Dr. Crick and Dr. Karras, unfortunately, were not able to join us today. They both had kind of some last minute things pop up, which sounds like is what's happening with a lot of people. So we still have a decent group. So we'll go ahead and jump in, like I said. All right, let me advance the slide. So real quick agenda today. Just welcome you guys for coming. It's our last practice coaching call, if you can believe it. I feel like this project just like flew by. We'll turn it over to Zainab for the data presentation. And then Dr. Taj Shaw was going to be doing the PDSA report out for OSU and Lewis Center. Then I'm going to discuss a wrap-up meeting for all of us. It's something that we didn't necessarily put on the calendar. I think we were really consumed with getting all of these practice coaching calls and everything kind of going for that. And we realized we never scheduled anything. So we want to do one kind of final wrap-up call with everybody just to talk about the project results and all of that. And then I just have a few last-minute reminders and next steps for us. And my dog is shaking a bunch in the background, so hopefully you can't hear him. All right, so here's our group. Very pleased with everybody. We've had everybody basically stay in the project. So usually you have a few people drop out. So very pleased with the turnout of the project. And we'll just go ahead and jump in, and Zainab, I'll turn over to you.
So July was our last month of actual data that we're collecting. I know Lori said that we are going to be collecting some, what was it called, Lori, in December?
So we have one more data poll in September. So we will have August data, and then we're doing a sustainability poll in December.
Okay, so we have one more data poll, and then we have a sustainability poll. So this is all the data that we have until today. So this is baseline as well as all the QI months. And so, I mean, as we have been doing every month with these meetings, here you can see July added towards the end. Overall, all the practices seem to have a pretty stable trend from the months of May through July. Again, this is the metric that is a little bit harder to move just because the population is so large. So it does seem like it's pretty stable. It is slightly higher by 1 point from baseline overall, but like I said, again, it's pretty stable trend towards the end of the months here. Hopefully we'll see a little bit of an increase next month. So I'm ready for the next slide. And again, here are the metric 1 values for all of the OSU practices. And on the bottom, you can see each line color, which practice it represents, whether Hilliard, Grandview, or Lewis Center. And we are seeing in Lewis Center, we are seeing a pretty stable trend again from the month of May through July. With Hilliard, we are seeing a downward trend. So from the months of April through July, we are seeing a slight decrease every single month from the previous month. But there's still an opportunity to increase that. And then Grandview also seems pretty stable from the months of May through July. And again, if anyone has any questions, please go ahead and stop me. And I'll be glad to answer any questions you have here. And so the next slide also has metric 1, but it has it for all the other practices. Here in Augusta Pediatrics, you can see, again, it's a very stable trend from the beginning of the project, also with baseline, pretty stable until the month of July. And you can see the same pretty much with Hilliard and Blue Ridge. Hilliard did have a slight decrease from June to July, and Blue Ridge also had a slight increase from June to July. Nationwide Children's has seen a little bit of a bumpy road here, but overall, their QI months are significantly higher than baseline, which is a good thing. Towards the end of the project, and when we do that last sustainability poll, we'll kind of aggregate all these months to see how baseline compares to QI in general. And CH has been doing pretty well. So even though there was a slight decrease from June to July, you're still well above your baseline value. we can go ahead to the next slide. And here is the aggregate data for the vaccine administration rate. We did see a slight decrease from baseline in April and May, and then it went significantly higher in June. But we have seen a slight decrease in July from June. The July value and the baseline values are pretty much the same. But hopefully, again, when we aggregate this QI data, or when we aggregate your quality improvement months and we compare that one value to baseline, I think we will probably see a slight increase there. So hopefully we can get that a little bit back up in August. And again, if you have any questions here, please stop me at any time. If not, we can move forward to the next slide. And here again, we have metric 2 for the OSU practices. We did see a decrease in Lewis Center and Grandview. However, Lewis Center had a significant decrease in June to July. It went from 60% to about 31%. And Grandview also saw a slight decrease from 60 to 53. And Hilliard saw a pretty much steady trend, which is consistent with what we've seen with them in metric 1 as well. So we're ready for the next slide. And here are the other practices. Hilliard also, again, Hilliard Pediatrics had seen a little bit of a bumpy road here. It's very variable. It goes up and down during the month. So it has decreased significantly since June, but hopefully we can get that back up. I feel like with, again, the combination of all these QI months compared with baseline, you will see an increase, but hopefully in August we will see a significant increase from what we've seen in July. Nationwide Children's Hospital, we've seen again a very nice upward trend like we have seen with metric 1. So very good job there. Blue Ridge and Augusta, it's pretty much stable throughout the QI month. Augusta did see a slight decrease in July, but overall it's a pretty stable trend, very consistent numbers throughout the month. So ready for metric 3? And this is just metric 3 for all the months combined. If you do want to see your metric 3 as a practice alone, please email me and I'll send that to you. But today we only have metric 3 for all the practices. And metric 3 is pretty much the only metric that we have seen a consistent upward trend throughout the months. So compared with baseline, we saw a little bit of a decrease in April, but since April and through July, we have seen a slight increase every single month. So hopefully we can keep that up for August. But these are the slides I had prepared for today. If anyone has any questions or anyone wants to set something up to look at their data individually, we can definitely do that. And if you want Lori to be on there, I'm sure she won't mind. But if you want just us, we can also do that as well. So great job. And I hope that we can continue to see a lot of increases in August. It's our last month. So I'm hoping that we see good results. And I can turn it back over to Lori.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Zainab. Thank you for all the work you do to put all this together. And thank you to the practices for putting all the work in to make this data happen. So like she said, we have one more month kind of as an official data pull. So we're hoping we can present kind of those almost like final results on our next call. And I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Taj Shah from OSU.
Thanks, Lori. I'm in a shared office here, so I'm sorry I have a mask on. So Lori, you had just wanted us to kind of share what we did in July in one of our PDSA cycles. Am I correct?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at Lewis Center, we're one of the OSU MedPeds practices. We decided in June to, as of July 1, send out my chart messages, so portal messages to all 11 to 14-year-olds who were, let me see if I can get this off just a minute. 11 to 14-year-olds who were due for well child checks, which we have a database that allows us to do that. And we sent a MyChart message that basically alerted the patient and their family that they were due for a well check. And actually, Lori, that's what I have on the next slide, I think.
Yep, I just put it up just in case. There you go.
Okay, so this is actually just out of my database of smart phrases, but it basically was like intended to be a pleasant message saying, hey, it's summertime, sports physicals are due in August. Why don't you think about coming in and scheduling your appointment? And during these appointments at this age, typically we talk to people about the following vaccines, and we went ahead and sandwiched the Tdap, HPV, and meningitis vaccines. And then we created a hyperlink that the patients could click on that basically took them to, if you want to do the next page, OSU's MedPeds site. And on that page, there is a link to information about the HPV vaccine. And we linked them to this brochure that we received. I think this is the one from the AAP, right? Is this the one? No, this is the one from the iVaccinate group. So there was a group that we're working with in cancer research here, cancer prevention research, Electra Pasquette and her group called the iVaccinate group, and they're doing projects to try and improve HPV vaccination rates across the state in an effort to reduce cancer rates, HPV related cancer rates. And so we had started a project with them. And so we actually decided to link to this brochure. So that outreach message was sent out with links to information about HPV in advance. And then other things we did is then when those patients were scheduled, we scheduled them in their appointment notes, we put HPV due. And then our providers also had the education that happened, I think, back in May around, some of the best practices around HPV vaccines. So all the things we've talked about on these calls before, presumptive language and sandwiching the HPV in the middle. So those kinds of things were already in place. So the July intervention was this outreach message that had the information saying you're due for your physical, you might be due for an HPV vaccine. And if you're interested in reading about it ahead of time, here's a brochure that you can read about HPV ahead of time. So that was our intervention. I think we did, I don't think I have a slide that shows this, but we did 87 MyChart messages for the providers that were participating in this project, which is 5 of us here. We got 27 to schedule appointments. We found out 7 of the patients that we reached out to are no longer patients at our clinic for insurance reasons or whatever. I'm sorry, it was 86 outreaches, 27 scheduled appointments, 7 are no longer. And now for those remaining 40 or so that we haven't heard from, we're doing a second outreach that's going to go. We have some access issues at our clinic, so we decided to hold off to send that outreach appointment till September so that we weren't sending a message asking them to schedule an appointment when there weren't appointments to offer. So we're going to do that again in September. So that's kind of our latest cycle of what we've done.
Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions or any feedback for Dr. Tashal?
This is Kate McCracken. I think that is an awesome intervention. I love the fact that you, leveraged MyChart and also put that link to click in. That's a great idea. I think we should steal that for our group.
We'd be happy to share it. And I know Electra Pasquette and her group are passionate about sharing educational materials. That is just an online resource. Like it's the brochure is made to send in an email format, if you know what I mean. It's an electronic version of their brochure. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm happy to share that as well. I don't think they would, I can get you in touch with her, but I think can share it directly because I don't think they mind. They're happy for it to be used.
That's great. I think that's awesome.
And then I would just also mention that in our exam rooms, we do have the rack cards that the AAP has shared with us. So we're using resources from different places for different purposes. But since that was easily accessible with the electronic version, that's why we chose to post that one on the u.osu website.
That's awesome. Yeah, if you don't mind sharing that, if you want to send it to me and I can send it out, but that's a great resource. The more the merrier if we can get that information. And of course, they do such great work with that group. So fabulous job.
I will make 2 more comments, which is number 1, Zaina mentioned when she was presenting data that the numbers are really big on that first metric, but actually each of our practices have fairly small numbers for our denominator, in any given month. So none of us are seeing a ton of 11 to 14-year-olds for well checks in a given month. So our denominators are fairly small. We're med peds practices, so half of our practices are adults, and then obviously half of our practices children. So, and then amongst them, just the age group. But so the data that you saw for Lewis Center, for example, it went down to 30%. Well, that's because I had a family of 3 siblings, all of who don't vaccinate their kids for HPV, who came in, and that can take the number from, 70% to 30%. So I guess I'm just saying that to say that if you guys see your numbers going down, like, it probably is good to realize what your denominator is, because if it's not that big, it's not easy, or it's not hard to get that number to waver very, very quickly.
That's a great point.
All right, I'll stop.
I agree. It is beautiful work. I love patient outreach and getting information in the hands of families. We're just starting to do our work on my chart outreach. So we're very excited to borrow and steal all sorts of things as we try to figure out. But lovely work. Very nice.
Yeah. And welcome, Dr. Karras. I didn't know you were able to join us, so it's nice to see you.
I am here and happy to be here.
All right. Well, thank you so much for this PDSA report out. So real quick, one thing we did not schedule, I mentioned kind of in the beginning of the call, is sort of a wrap up, kind of our final meeting. So we are looking at scheduling that for an hour. We're going to stick with a Friday at noon. It seems like it works for most people. So we're looking at September 23rd, which is a Friday, from 12 to 1. So mark your calendars. I have it on our reminders and next steps. But what I'll do is, as soon as we're done here, I didn't want to just put it on your calendar and not explain what it was. So I will add you guys to the calendar invitation. It has the Zoom link, everything like we normally do. But I wanted to make sure I at least prefaced what was happening before I sent you one. So hopefully that works for all of you. If you have any issues with that, please let me know and we can adjust. But this was a date that worked for the majority of our planning team and everything. So again, we're going to hopefully give you some of the results from the project itself with the data and all of that. So in next steps, so sustainability tips and things like that. So hopefully you're able to join us. But just a couple last reminders. And like I said, this is going to be kind of a quicker call today. We know how busy everyone is. But we do have that final data poll due September 7th. So I'll probably send out a reminder. Oh, Dr. McCracken, do you have a question?
Sorry, I don't have a question. I just had 2 things to add when you're done with announcements.
Okay, perfect. Then with the wrap-up meeting, like I said, it's gonna be Friday, September 23rd from 12 to 1. I will go ahead and send you the calendar invitation immediately following this call. We do have, remember we did, as one of the other metrics, is we had that provider confidence survey. So we did the pre-survey in the beginning. We have that post-survey. So I'm gonna send you guys information September 1st to the physician leads, and you can send it out to the rest of the team if you have other participating physicians. And then that will be due a month later on October 1st. The same with the MOC4 attestation. We have a link that we can send out for that. I will again send that out in one email September 1st. And then again, that'll be due October 1st. So you guys will have a little time to work on that. And then as Zainab mentioned, we are going to do that one final sustainability data poll. So looking at those 3 metrics and seeing if you were able to sort of sustain any of the changes that you've made. And that will be due to December 7th. So I will send a reminder for that as well. And then just one final reminder, if you still haven't submitted 3 full PDSAs, please send them to me as soon as you can. I think we're in pretty good shape with almost all of you. So great work. And Dr. McCracken, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks. This is just in the spirit of sharing resources. So this month, as a marketing push for NCH to celebrate like National Vaccine Month or whatever, they have 2 HPV specific items that they tasked me with. One is a TikTok promoting the HPV vaccine. So if you follow Nationwide Children's TikTok channel, which I don't even have TikTok, but I'm on there apparently. There's like a little TikTok about the vaccine that you're happy to share. I'm happy for you guys to share with your patients. And then the second one is the 700 Children's blog, which is that blog that NCH puts out that's family facing and patient facing. There's a blog that I wrote about the vaccine. So 2 new HPV resources. This isn't like like a marketing push for me. I mean, I could care less, but it's not like self-promotional. I just think there are two marketing things that NCH put out, and they're both HPV related, which is awesome because it's they're really committed to, you know, increasing the uptake of this vaccine. So I wanted to make sure that, share the TikTok link. Okay. I'll send the TikTok link to Lori, and I'll send the blog link. I think the blog is maybe not pushed through yet. Like, I finalized edits on that yesterday, so it's probably going to come out next week, but I'll share both of those resources.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for that. And funny is I had never really been on TikTok. For a little bit at Ohio AAP, we had our parents advocating for vaccines, like Immunization Coalition. And so we tried our hand at doing a teen group. And so we were like, oh, we should be cool and get a TikTok. And so I started one for that. And then we really didn't do much with it. And that group kind of phased out. But my kids are on it, and I thought I should probably be on it just to see what they're doing. So now I'm kind of obsessed with TikTok. So
yeah, I mean, I really do think it's a way to like reach out and get a hold of teenagers. And I think that, you know, teenagers are not necessarily checking Facebook, right? Or maybe even not even Instagram. So I mean, when I was filming this, they were trying to teach me how to do these trends. And I'm like, I don't understand. You want me to put my ear by a door and then knock on the door? Like, there's all sorts of things. So anyway, I'm like the least TikTok person, but this is just an HPV info one. So
awesome. Well, I will say too that some of the TikToks are so informational, like the stuff that I don't see the same things that my kids see. And I went through breast cancer treatment. That's why you probably all wondered what my hair looks like. It looks like this after it grew back from chemo. But my breast cancer surgeon is on TikTok. And so she has all these tips, and I think it's so fascinating that I get to see her on there. So I think it's a cool way to really educate, not just teens, but, you know, there's a ton of us on there. So I think that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, and Meg put the link. The blog is okay, cool. Perfect. So feel free to share that with families. Thanks everybody.
Thank you. All right, I clicked the link and now I don't know where I went. My screen. I don't know. Can you still see? I'll stop sharing. I guess I don't know what I did. Anyways, I think we're good. So oh, there we go. Resume sharing. Perfect. So I think that's all we had for today. So thank you guys so much for all being a part of this project and for being so active and sharing all this information today. So like I said, I will send you guys the calendar invitation for September 23rd for our wrap-up meeting. And then another reminder about the other things coming up. So this is recorded. So if you have any team members who weren't able to join, we will upload the slides and the recording. So thank you guys so much, and have a great weekend.
Thanks. Bye.